What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country on a daily basis that you need to know about here. And the world was set to rejoice as a new agreement in Russia and Ukraine was set to lower food prices here, potentially around the world, and maybe help solve the food shortage and crisis, which has already begun. And well, Russia already went back on their word. Yeah, let's jump right in. Yeah, the food shortages that are going on all around the world here because the breadbasket of the world, Ukraine and Russia, Russia's not exporting a lot of their grains and food that they produce there. And Ukraine cannot ship out because Russia is blockading them. You can see this headline here from Barron's. A food shortage could be coming even in the U.S. Even in the U.S., as we also have fertilizer shortages here as well. And this is now starting to become more and more of a problem. Well, people started to rejoice here yesterday as, well, even the New York Times reported, and everybody started to say, hey, Russia agrees to let the Ukraine ship grain, easing the world food shortage. Yeah, so they came to an agreement. Ukraine and Russia signed a deal to lift Russia's blockade of Ukrainian ports. They actually penned and signed a deal. This has significantly worsened the global food crisis, their most important agreement since the war began. Yeah, so Ukraine and Russia actually go ahead and sign the deal. It's official. They signed the deal. Congratulations. We have finally come to some agreement here on the war. And this is a good one, right? Yeah, you can see here Turkish president and the UN Secretary General lead a signing ceremony in Istanbul yesterday. UN Secretary General and Turkish president were due on Friday to oversee the signing of a key agreement that would allow Ukraine to resume its shipment of grain from the Black Sea to world markets, for Russia to export the grain and fertilizers, ending a standoff that has threatened world food security. Yeah, they actually signed the deal. Deal was signed, done, and delivered. As you can see, part of the footage here of the signing ceremony. Headlines come across the world here. Wheat prices to drop potentially to pre-war levels after Ukraine and Russia strike a deal to unblock shipments. We'll start to see all these different type of grains and all these different type of products, bread, all sorts of different things will drop in prices. We'll start to see food drop in prices in the U.S. and all around the world, and we'll start to see all these different countries and even maybe the shortages of food here will start to not be as bad, right? Yeah, well, if you've been following anything about the war, well, quite simply, you know that Russia is just, they lie. They lie. If you remember anything, we go back to the beginning of the war. Russia said, oh, they weren't going to attack Ukraine. They were just putting their military and their supplies on the border. They weren't going to attack. Remember that? And then literally attack like 3 days later. I mean, if you remember all these things that have kind of led up to this, all the different times they said that they weren't going to do things and then just did them days later. Well, what do you think happened? Less than 24 hours later, Russia attacks Ukraine's Black Sea port despite their grain deal. Yep. So they sign a deal and attack the port less than 24 hours later. Unbelievable. You can't make this stuff up, guys. What was the point of even signing the deal? Why would you even go to the trouble? Yeah, Russia attacks Ukrainian port of Odessa following deal to export grain. Here's a Ukrainian official. Check this out.
So Ukraine liberated Snake Island. And only after this, Russia agreed to some deal on grain export. But immediately after this, attacked it, showing that they want to continue threatening the world food security, challenging by artificial famine millions of people on the planet.
Yeah, so Russia attacked the Black Sea trade port in Odessa, Ukraine on Saturday, less than 1 day after the two countries came to an agreement mediated by Turkey to export tons of grain out of Ukrainian seaports. 4 Caliber cruise missiles jetted towards the port, 2 of which were shot down before hitting the port, the city of Odessa announced. The grain deal, which was also mediated by the United Nations, attempted to improve global food shortages by allowing ports in Ukraine, including the Black Sea trade port, to operate and ship grain worldwide. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has led to a de facto blockage of Black Sea ports, keeping key agricultural goods from leaving the area. The Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said it took less than 24 hours for Russia to launch missile attacks on Odessa's port, breaking its promises and undermining its commitments before the UN and Turkey under the Istanbul Agreement. In case of non-fulfillment, Russia will bear full responsibility for the global food crisis. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin says the U.S. agrees to send Ukraine more HIMARS launchers. Yeah, take a listen here.
The United States is also committed to sending more HIMARS munitions, precision-guided artillery ammunition, and tactical vehicles, and other urgently needed support. And we'll continue to provide historic levels of security assistance to help Ukraine defend itself. And later this week, we'll roll out our next presidential drawdown package of weapons, ammunition, and equipment for Ukraine. It will be our 16th drawdown of equipment from DoD inventory since August 2021. It will include 4 more HIMARS advanced rocket systems, which the Ukrainians have been using so effectively and which have made such a difference on the battlefield. And it will include more rounds of MLRS and artillery ammunition. The Ukrainian armed forces have repeatedly demonstrated their skill in operating HIMARS and M270s and 155 millimeter howitzers. And those capabilities have been crucial in the Donbass fight. Ukraine has also made real gains on the ground with other equipment that members of this contact group have provided. For example, Ukraine has definitely employed donated Harpoon systems against Russia's Navy in the Black Sea. And those systems help Ukraine reclaim Snake Island. So I look forward to today's discussion on how we can continue to rush Ukraine more critical capabilities and urgently needed ammunition.
Yeah, so as the world had thought Russia and Ukraine had maybe made one of their first agreements to maybe make a step towards maybe some goodwill, Russia sends missiles towards the target, towards the port that they just made an agreement on less than 24 hours ago. What was the point of even making the agreement? Why would you even make an agreement if you're Russia? You just literally can't make this stuff up, guys. And this just literally goes to show you what type of person Putin is. I mean, they make an agreement, a peace agreement, that they're going to let the grain and food come out of there, and then they attack it less than 24 hours ago. You've seen this before in the past with other cities where they have a ceasefire agreement to let civilians go out, and then they attack literally hours later. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. How are we ever going to see an end to this war? Yeah. You let me know your thoughts here in the comments, but this is really a large cause of why we're seeing food prices rise across the world. Food prices are at an all-time high in the US and all around the world. Everywhere, food prices are at an all-time high. And of course, we know gas prices were at an all-time high. Of course, they're coming down here in the US. We're at a 2-month low right now. That doesn't mean that we won't see them go back up or go back down. You know, who knows what the future will hold. But of course, we know that, you know, gas prices have and oil prices have rose significantly since the war started. And, you know, if this war would eventually end, you know, everything would come back down. But at this point, who knows when it'll end? Who knows when it'll end? And it seems like there's no end in sight. It seems like there's no end in sight. And we're going to continue to see food shortages and gas prices higher than they should be, at least. Higher than they should be, at least. And I know they're coming down now, but who knows how long this is going to continue. Yeah, let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here. And seems like there's no end in sight. And you can't trust Russia because they'll sign a peace agreement with you. They'll do an official signing ceremony, and then they'll attack the actual target that they just signed a peace agreement with less than 24 hours later. So how do you even work with somebody like that? Yeah, so let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I'll keep you up to date here on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to click the bell icon down below so you get notifications when we go live here with new videos. You can click here to see my newest stimulus check video. There are checks going out here in multiple different states. And did AOC fake her arrest? You can click on that video to see details of that. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.